So I also did a page because I thought it was really important to do a page on explaining why I'm using maps, because I feel like I went down this road but I didn't really document it in my book. So I talk about this idea of psychogeography in my proposal, and like seeing psychogeography and helping me to understand how to explore the relationship between the environment and human well-being, and like capturing the sense of like this interaction with our environment and how it makes us feel. And I feel like landscape, the environment of a landscape or a place paired with human motion and equals like a connection. And I found this on Tate's website actually, and so psychogeography describes the effect of geographical location on the emotions and behaviour of individuals, and I just like how a place can have an effect on us, both positive and negative, and how do we document this in art, and how will I present this, and how could I explain this in what I'm choosing to do or what I'm subconsciously doing or wanting to do. How could this relate? And then I also did a definition, Oxford definition of a map, and I learned, so it's a representation of an area of land, and I kind of did a definition of my own words. So a representation of an area of land that are symbolic to the characteristics of a place, sizes, shapes and locations of features. They present and comprehend large quantities of information in a simple and visual way. And I feel like that's kind of what my art is. I'm trying to present and comprehend quantities of information, research and development and patterns and my brain and how it works and how I see things. I'm comprehending this in a simple and visual way to my viewer through art. So I thought this was like a good connection and worth exploring. So I found a article by the National Geographic on like what a map is, and this is like a 4-pager. So I used their definition to help mine, and also just learning about the scale symbols and like how they have evolved and what they mean, and like what the colours. I thought what was interesting here was the colours equal the symbols. So like green equals forest, tan is a desert, and blue is water. So similar to what I was doing in my pattern work from the key in the Hampstead map. And then using this and how I could use this in my work, and like generalizing colour to make it recognisable to the audience through use of colour, which I thought was really interesting. And I thought the colours equal the symbols was really interesting in the way like we generalise colour and features to make it recognisable to the audience. So like through colour we're simplifying a map, and we're simplifying information, and we're simplifying my intent for my project to the audience through colour, and making them see a place and recognise like, oh, that's grass, that's a tree, that's a piece of water. And I do this, I don't reverse colours, I stick with the colour scheme but distort that into different colours. And then I just learned like every map needs a purpose and a content, and I won't say everything, but I did kind of explain why I'm using maps. So my use of map is to simplify an abstract place special to me and others, and I can transmute perspective and have fun with contour maps, the calmness of the lines and the abstracted but craziness feels calming, yet when like it just feels calming when creating as opposed to seeing. And I think this is really important, the creation of art for me, and I think this links to like human well-being and my environment. And like Hampstead Heath does this for me, it calms me, it's an escape and a recharge and a therapy like art is. So I think it's really important to do something in art that you enjoy the making of, you enjoy doing, and that feeds the project and inspires the project. and I can distort a place using a map, and it's an easier way to distort and give me ideas. And like, we don't have only one direction, and the main thing is distort like size and shape and mirroring feelings of place relative to location and an artistic expression, and using this. And then I also learned more about like the history. So like, maps were drawn by hand and then were they were then printed, so they were like etched, and historically they were etched. So this introduction of using holograph that I can use, and it just like connects to the history of the making, which I thought was really interesting, and I will be doing that. And I was just looking at like, so they used to survey and create maps by surveying the land on foot. So like, me going to Hampstead and walking and taking pictures is surveying on foot, and I'm seeing like the levels, and it kind of like distorts the way of seeing, and I'm experiencing it firsthand like they used to, because they had no aerial helicopters or cameras back then. So I thought that was really interesting, but now I do, and I can kind of use historical methods and new methods to evolve and change like Hockney, and like evolve with my art. And I thought it was really interesting. So they used to historically made with different forms, so they would just use what they had. So they did like sketching and painting like on site, like Constable, and they'd use like palm fires and weave patterns between islands in the Pacific Ocean, and then they'd use seashells for islands and driftwood for like coastal features. And I thought it was really interesting, especially my connection to water, and how they just used what they had, and they didn't do anything too fancy, and it was rustic. It wasn't meant to be this amazing creation. It's rustic and earthy, just like nature. I also decided to get an article about maps and cognitive maps, and how understanding maps and how we use them both physically and mentally. So like, exploring how we use mind maps to like simplify and visualize information, and this connection with like maps being like a visual thing that we use, and how in art we can use this to present places, and how I'm using it to present a place. But I just thought it was really interesting, the connection between the mental use of maps and the physical use, and especially when I'm exploring the mental well-being and connection to our environment, and how this can change our mental well-being and help it, or have a positive and negative impact on it, but mostly positive in this project. And it's like transmuting conformal ways of seeing abstraction. So like, I did an extension of this in the next week, and then also I messaged my friends who also on the course with me, so 3 people, and I asked them, why do you go to green spaces and what do you use maps for? And I just found it a really interesting task, and I really enjoyed it, and like seeing what people said. And so I did like the main points. So for de-stress, time and space for myself, calm, safety, childhood, breaks up overwhelming routine with friends and family, and the idea that all of the issues are material, which what Nate said was really interesting. All issues are material and makes me feel insignificant again. So like, just saying like, my issues aren't as bad and I can move on, learn. And there was this thing about lockdown and how we separate time being stuck inside and trapped to going out, and I felt like a real connection to this, because me and my family during lockdown, we really embraced Hampstead, and we used to go for walks every single day to Hampstead just to get away throughout lockdown, feeling trapped, and this exact feeling of being inside and feeling trapped, and just getting like a space to breathe and like a recharge, an idea of an escape from like mundane, overwhelming routine that we have in our everyday lives. And I thought this was really interesting how this like Q&A style conversation like has seen like so many similarities between like the audience and like people around me, and how people literally think the exact same thing as me. And it just gave me like a new perspective, and I think it was really useful because I asked my audience, the viewer of my work, I asked the audience, and I think this is important to me, especially as an artist, to connect and meet my viewers in my art. So like I want their views and opinions to be represented and see parts of themselves in my work, and I think this is really important to me. And it's just given me pushed along further this idea of escape, and making this a place where people can escape to and see relations with the heath and my art. And then I did find like with the maps there was less on this and more on green spaces, but just like how we navigate new places and how long journeys will take. And Isabella told me this thing like she can get lost easily, and like how do we use maps to not get lost, and like this stressful feeling of being lost, and it causes stress and can like be intimidating, the thought of like being lost and having nowhere to go and not knowing where you are, and the overwhelming sense of this. And actually going to the heath, we don't really use a map, but we feel de-stressed. And I just thought this juxtaposing elements like really posed some questions in my mind of like how the feeling of being lost is so stressful, yet when we're walking on like the heath or in a park or a green space, we don't follow a map, and it's like, but we don't feel stressed. So yeah, it's trying to like understand that and think about that more.